Now, this right here is the Vaonis Vespera Pro Smart Telescope. And in Australia, this is worth a whopping 5,500 Australian dollars, which is insane for a smart telescope. So is it $5,500 good? And do you get the $5,500 worth of experience every time you turn this on? We're going to find out in this video. After using it for a few months, I've certainly worked out some great points about this smart telescope, but I've also worked out some not so great points, which I'll cover off in this video. So we're going to go through a review of this smart telescope from start to finish, and throughout the video, we're going to cover off the points I like and I don't like. So hang around and we'll go through them all together. I'm Matt Clark and you're watching Nightscape Odyssey. And if you want more videos like this review, Nightscape adventures, and also Milky Way guides, then hit that subscribe button because I've got heaps more coming for you over the next few months. So this just isn't a review where they've just sent me a smart telescope and I've reviewed it within a couple of days. It's nothing like that. I've had it for probably 2 to 3 months. Vaonis had sent it out to me upon my request. So thank you very much, Vaonis. I really appreciate it. But I do have to send it back to them, so I don't get to keep this, unfortunately. But we'll send it back. So I've tested it out in Bortle 6-7 skies here at home, and then at my shack about an hour and a half away from Adelaide. I've tested it there, and that's Bortle 2 skies. So it's handled both environments extremely well. So just so you understand the review, it's not just a pull it out the box and review it. It's actually, I've used it for a few months and these are my experiences. I hope my experiences help you guys out as well. Now, first off, I'm just going to go through quickly the build quality. And as you would expect for $5,500, the build quality is exceptional. Even where the plastic seams meet, they all join up perfectly. You've got a great little funny button here, which we'll talk about later. And also, just the plastic and the finishing is great. The lens and the filters, we will go through that also. They're pretty innovative. But yeah, we won't waste much time at all on the build quality because it certainly is as good as it looks. Now here's the point that most people really want to know a lot about, and that is the setup. How easy was it for the first time for me? It was actually really, really simple. I discovered I didn't like using the tripod it came with. It's just way too low for me and I hate being that low to the ground, so I like working at chest height. It connected to the Wi-Fi really, really easily, which brings me to my first complaint. On some of the other smart telescopes I've used, you can actually connect them to your home network, so you can actually be inside the Wi-Fi network I'm talking about, home Wi-Fi network. So you can actually be inside and you can be in any room or whatever when the telescope is running, you can check on it. But with this, you cannot. It just connects straight to your phone's Wi-Fi, and unfortunately, it's limited as far as distance goes. But once it's connected, it goes through an initialization phase where it looks at the stars, it plate solves, it does all its magic by looking at the stars and measuring them and doing whatever plate solving does. And it also does an autofocus as well. So this initialization can take 4 to 5 minutes, depending on how dark your sky is. It needs to be able to see stars. Now, most smart telescopes these days have what they call equatorial mode or EQ mode. This one doesn't. This only has an Alt-Az mode, which means it will take images with the smart telescope and slew to the target and follow the target up and down and side to side. Where EQ mode on smaller telescopes, you'd usually kick the telescope back on an angle and put it back, and that allows you to get longer shutter speeds and better images. But obviously with this weighing nearly 5 kilos, tilting this back on into EQ mode would put a lot of stress on this housing, and the center of gravity is a lot higher with this as well, so it would probably have a higher risk of tipping over. I can see why they haven't put EQ mode in this smart telescope. it has got algorithms and everything in there to be able to get some great mosaic modes with up to 50 megapixels once they're all stacked together. So that's pretty impressive too. So they've got around it by adding this special algorithm in there as well. Since we're talking about megapixels, this does have a 12.5 megapixel sensor. It's a Sony IMX676 StarViz 2, which is capable of capturing images up to 50 megapixels. And that is all thanks to Vaonis' Koval ENS. So what is Koval ENS, you ask? Well, it's a patent technology developed by Vaonis that acts like a panorama mode. So I did make a statement before where I said this doesn't have EQ mode, but this is Vaonis' way of counteracting this not having an EQ mode and therefore pumping out images that are basically the same as having EQ mode. So in my opinion, it's just as good. Now, as far as storage goes, there is 225 gigabytes of storage inside the Pro model. I do believe models under the Pro model are much less than this, and I have heard they run out of storage very, very quickly. In this model is not an issue. Battery life is excellent in this unit. In the Pro model, we're getting about 11 hours. I haven't put it to the full test, but that's what the specs say, 11 hours, which is really good for astrophotography. The Pro model, again, is probably better for image quality and also battery life and storage. So definitely a step above the rest. So this telescope is a 50mm f5 250mm achrochromatic quadruplet smart telescope. And that was a mouthful. I can't believe I memorized all of that. Now I want to talk to you about the Vaonis app. I'll show you what I'm looking at here on the screen. So once you have got your telescope initiated and everything is working as it should, you can then decide what targets you want to shoot. I really do like the layout of this app. They've put a lot of thought into the app, and for someone that's not super experienced with deep space astrophotography, I like to know what targets are available for me to shoot at any one time. And in this app, it certainly does that. So it tells you if the visibility is good, it tells you what kind of target it actually is, whether it's an emission nebula, an open cluster, or a spiral galaxy or anything like that, and it tells you exactly how long it needs to shoot those images or those targets. And that brings me to one thing that I don't like, and that is there is no star map mode in this app, which some of the cheaper smart telescopes actually have, and it's really good for exploring the sky if you want to look around, similar to Stellarium. In my opinion, I think Vaonis have missed the mark there a little bit because, you know, obviously paying a lot of money for this telescope, and some of the cheaper versions have got a star map in there. You know, I like the fact that we can look at what's available to shoot. I get where Vaonis have gone with this, but I'll still like to have an explore around because there might be something else in the sky I might want to have a look at too. So, Vaonis, if you're watching, I think a star map is definitely a good option for these smart telescopes for your brand as well. Now, you've also got a plan my night function. You can create a plan in here where you can put in as many targets as you can squeeze in whilst you've got a dark window. And you can set your different targets. You can shoot for 1 or 2 hours on each target and move around. And then by the time it's finished, it'll be morning and the telescope is shut back down again and closed up. So it does it all for you. You can just go to bed and wake up in the morning and hopefully it's still there and no one's nicked it. But I'd recommend shooting in your backyard or somewhere where it's not seen. But yes, so you can wake up in the morning and then download your images or do it after you get home from work. So you can change the field of view in the app easily. Again, this is where one of my complaints come out about the star map. It's just an illustration of what the target looks like, and I think it just loses its feel of quality by not having that visible star map there and mucking around with it that way. Once you're happy with your selection of your field of view, then you can go imaging and hit the button and it will do everything else itself. It's very impressive the way it moves. It just does everything very precisely. Also on the app, you'll find that it picks up wind speed from various other apps. It picks up the humidity, and that does it through this little sensor inside here. If you don't buy the Vespera Pro, I believe you've got to buy that sensor, and that sensor's $100. There's one other cool thing inside the app. When you're shooting a target, you can actually have a look at the progression of the shoot over live view. So you can actually go back in here and push play at where it started off at shot number 1 to how many shots you've got, and you can see the progress of it after it's stacked it over time, and the detail and the information that it's pulling out as it goes. So that's really interesting, and I've never seen that on any other smart telescope before. So well done, Vaonis. I really do like that feature because you can see what extra time does to your images. So just remember, everyone, data is the key. We want data and we want shooting hours, and the more shooting hours and data we get, the cleaner our images will be, and that is a good way of showing you how important that is. In the app we have a multi-night mode, so you can continue shooting your targets over multiple nights, and I don't believe there's a limit to that, but after a while it all starts balancing out anyway. The advantage of shooting multiple nights is collecting many more hours of data. So you might want to shoot a target for 10 hours, but you've only got a window of 2 hours each night. So you can plan some nice clear nights and go back to the exact same coordinates that you were at the night before. So the telescope handles all of that. Now, one of the other things that I was a bit funny about was this funny button thingy here. It did take me a while to learn how to turn off the smart telescope. Even then, you got to hold your finger on it. When you think it's on, it's not. But that's on now. When I first used it, I couldn't work out how to turn it off. I ended up having to turn it off through the app, which is probably the better way of doing it anyway. But yeah, it's just a bit finicky. This brings me to the next section. With the smart telescope, we have very specific filters in here, and they are very captive to Vaonis, which means you have to go to them to buy them regardless. And they are pretty specific because somehow when I put this on, the telescope knows exactly what filter this one is. This one's the light pollution filter. Each one of these filters are worth a significant amount of money. The dual band filter, which is the one you're going to want to get, is worth about nearly 900 Australian dollars. And you're going to need that to pull out the HA, or the hydrogen alpha, from some of the nebulas and all that sort of stuff around. So whenever you're photographing a nebula, you're going to need that. If you're in super dark skies, probably don't need the dual band filter as much, but if you're in super bright skies, you're going to need this light pollution filter. Again, that's an extra cost. And if you don't buy the Pro, then you may have to buy a tripod if you don't have one already, but I recommend using a tripod you've already got because it just fits on there straight away. It's easy. Really have a look at everything you're going to get before you purchase the unit. Would I buy this smart telescope? And the answer is 100% yes, I would buy the smart telescope. And the reasons are, I do run a super busy lifestyle, and I come home from work and I would love to go out shooting, but I just can't because I've got to travel far for dark skies, where I can just put this telescope out the back and I can let it shoot and set it up. It just ticks a lot of boxes for me as far as that goes. And I do get a little bit of astrophotography during the weeks as well. Do I think this smart telescope is worth the $5,500? Well, I do, and I'll tell you the reasons why. Before we covered off build quality, you can tell the machine is a really high quality precision unit. The components are very, very high quality components, and they are precision. You can tell by the way this thing moves around and the sound of all the components working. It definitely is high quality. And just think about all the innovation and technology that have gone into this over the years. It would have taken months, if not years, to develop this telescope to the point it is at now. So with all that in mind, yes, I do think it's worth $5,500. Who do I think this smart telescope is for? I don't want to stereotype either, but obviously someone that has a fair bit of spare cash that could buy this smart telescope, someone that's really, really busy, and maybe potentially someone that doesn't want to get fully involved with a massive rig but wants a similar experience. I think that is the person for this smart telescope. Whoever buys it would definitely have a blast with it, in my opinion. There you go, guys. You've got my opinion. You know whether I would buy one or who this smart telescope is for. It has got a few little things that I didn't like about it, but it's got a lot I love about this smart telescope. It's been absolutely great having it, and I really appreciate Vaonis sending it to me. Now I've sort of tested it out and done it, I'll be boxing it back up sadly and sending it back to Vaonis, but I do hope they do send me some more in the future to test out as well, because I've had an absolute blast. And just before you dive off to watch one of my other videos, I'm going to leave you with some images I've captured with this smart telescope over the few months that I've had it in my possession. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future videos like this one. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in.